Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, television shows, and we review incidents in pop culture just to see how that will affect our daily lives. Today, we're getting ready to review a Fox television series that debuted on September 21st, entitled Our Kind of People. This whole series and premise of the series was based on a book of the same title. So let's get into the series. I guess throughout this, I am just going to be recapping and giving my overall opinion about what I'm seeing. I will tell you it is an interesting show. I will give, I guess, an overall opinion after I go through maybe 3 or 4 episodes to kind of get a feel of it. So let's just start. So, excuse me. As we start off, as the series starts, it talks about, it doesn't talk. Let me stop. It opens up with Angela Vaughn, who is our main character, her daughter Nikki, and her aunt Piggy. They are riding to Oak Bluff. Apparently, Angela is there to open up a pop-up shop to sell her beauty products that she creates. So she's in the black hair care industry. She is thriving in the black hair care industry, and she's coming there because she's getting a lot of business opportunities to be able to open up her pop-up shop. Well, she's opening up her pop-up shop hopefully to get more business opportunities. We also meet the DuPonts. We meet Leah Franklin DuPont, her husband Raymond, her daughter Lauren, and her son Quincy. They are coming into the vineyards to come to Oak Bluff for the summer season. Apparently, Leah Franklin DuPont is the chairperson of the new acting president of the Gracities. So she's coming in this season. This summer season is important to her because of the fact that, number one, it's a way for her to get her marriage back on track. It's also she's having a lot of pressures with her family, I guess, raising her 2 children, and pressures at work. So, and then plus she is having to then all of her social responsibilities. So this is an important season for her, so she wants to make sure she gets it all right. Her husband Raymond is supportive of her. He's also supportive of the fact that they're getting their marriage back on track. We then get introduced to Olivia DuPont, who is Raymond DuPont's mother. She seems like a person that is very entrenched in this social this social gathering, this social status. So she, when you meet her, she doesn't say hi, hello. She's like, hey, y'all are late, and we need to get going. We need to make sure, because I thought I was going to have to do everything myself. And she really throws some shots at Leia, but Leia takes them body blows like a champ. And she does talk to Raymond about, your mother acts like she doesn't like you. And Raymond says that's not the truth, but you wouldn't have her any other way. You'd want her to act the way she acts. And they both kind of, give each other a little look and keep it moving. It then goes on to not Miss DuPont. Angela, Aunt Piggy, and Nikki get to the building. Let me back up. As we were introduced to Angela, Aunt Piggy, and Nikki, they were on their way into Oak Bluff. But before they went into Oak Bluff, they made a stop at the beach. So they took in the water. They took in they played in the water. Angela and Nikki did. And after a while, I guess Angela started reminiscing on her mom and why she was there, and, missing her mom. Her mom has passed away. She's also left her a building. So they haven't seen, it's sight unseen. So they have the building. So they're going to the building to open. This is the building that they're going to do for a pop-up shop. Now, they said that the building was a boarding house. I'm not really sure. So now we get to this particular scene where Angela and Aunt Piggy come up to the building, and they realize it is a very nice looking building. It is a boarding house, and Aunt Piggy tells Angela that this is where your mother did hair. We find out that Angela's mother was a beautician. She did the hair for the staff for these social gatherings, for the maid staff and the wait staff and everything, and the common people. She did their hair. We also learned that Angela's mother was also on the serving staff, the wait staff. She was a maid, so she served at these events. We also learn that Angela's mother died. Like I said, she didn't know that she had this deed to this house, and it appears that they did not know she had this life there. It appears like Aunt Piggy didn't know that she had a life there, or what she's saying she didn't know. And it also appears that they don't know who Angela's father is. And then at that moment, we get a flashback scene from Angela remembering when she was a little girl and her mother was doing her hair. And apparently her mother was doing her hair because this was supposed to be the first time that Angela was supposed to meet her father. I will tell you, in this flashback episode, Angela appears to be anywhere from 5 to 7. That's the age that she appears to be. So she has never met her father. That night she was going to meet her father. During the conversation, Angela's mother is doing Angela's hair. So this flashback has, it seems like Angela's mother tells her that, she's getting her ready to meet her father. And she tells her, hey, Angela's mother is dressed up in a beautiful black and white ensemble, and she's saying that, hey, everything is going to be great. We're getting ready to live on the hill, live by the beach, and live great, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to live together, and everything is going to be fine. So we hear a knock at the door. And Angela's mother says, hey, Angela, I want you to stay right here in this room so she can let her father into the door. Angela's mother leaves the room, I guess goes out into the vestibule, opens the door, and it is the father, but then you hear them arguing. And she's like, oh, you gonna pay me off? You're not gonna keep your promise. You promised that you were gonna take us with you. All this back and forth in the argument. And she told me, you need to get out before I knock the black off you. They get back and arguing, and all you see is the back of this man. He leaves and goes out the door. But before he leaves, he hands Angela's mother this big wad of money. Angela runs after the man, and at the end of the scene, she's running after him, and he doesn't stop. He just walks out the door. He keeps going. He doesn't stop. So, she stands at the door, and she's crying. So this was a memory that she remembered that has had a big effect on Angela. So we flash back up to the present day. It's a mother-daughter scene between Angela and her daughter Nikki. Nikki has her grandmother's ashes, and then she set them on the table. Angela comes in. Nikki asks her, when are we going to spread our mother's ashes? Angela says, hey, we need to just get settled first before we do all of that. Let's get settled. Let's kind of get entrenched in society. She explains to Nikki that they have a party to go to. Nikki's spirits don't seem to be high. And then we hear that Nikki was expelled from her last school for fighting. And apparently she was arrested for fighting. So we don't have that much information, but apparently she has, I don't know if she's on probation. I don't know if she has a case pending or anything like that. But we know that she was suspended for fighting. Angela says that, to give her time, that she wants to start some generational wealth. She wants everything to go fine. And she believes that these people, the black elites, will be able to help her out. So, and then she tells Nikki that they were invited to a party. So that kind of brightens up Nikki's mood. And so she's, really ready to go to this party. So then we get to the next scene where the Vaughn family attends the DuPont's family's party. So this is, I guess it's the first party that kicks off the season. So they're there. And Leah is a little worried about the expectations of the summer. This is her party. She wants to make sure everything is going right. And she's a little worried about, her problems at work and her things. So she has a lot of stuff going on, and she's pretty much worried about whether or not she's adequate or up to par to be able to handle all of these responsibilities. Raymond assures her that hey, you can do it, and as long as I'm by your side, you're going to get this stuff done. So Angela's at the party, and she's taking it all in. She's just like looking around and seeing what's going on. And as she's doing that, she locks eyes with Lance Gross's character. He doesn't say his name at the time, but his name is Tyreek. So she locks eyes with him, and then, she was like, ooh, we up in here now. And Aunt Piggy and Nikki are sitting down. Aunt Piggy is partaking in of the drinks. And I'm not even mad at her. I would partake in all that free champagne myself. Then Angela's friend. So Josephine comes to the party. They hug and reminisce. And Angela reintroduces her to Nikki. Because I guess the last time she saw Nikki was a little girl or a baby, whichever. So she is reintroduced to Nikki and Aunt Piggy. And Angela explains to her that, hey, I want to go and I want to talk to or introduce myself to the DuPonts. She wanted, I don't know why I want to say their names like that, the DuPonts, but she wants to meet the host. And so Josephine says, like, hey, this is Leah Franklin DuPont. You sure you want to do that? And Angela reminds her, you know who I am. I can charm a black dog white. I don't know the phrase, but that's what she said. They get ready to go, or they saunder off to go meet the DuPonts. Meanwhile, Nikki goes. Wait a minute. Let me think. Well, I'm just going to say this one. But meanwhile, Nikki goes to the bar. She wants to get a club soda. She's standing there trying to get her club soda, and Quincy DuPont is there. And he just starts talking to her like, this party is lame. And so she was like, you do throw better parties or whatever. So they have a little back and forth, and she's trying to order her club soda. He tells the bartender to get her a vodka and soda. And so she was like, oh, you got it like that? And the waiter was like, yes, sir, Mr. DuPont. Well, they're in the middle of having just a little conversation. Then all of a sudden, Lauren DuPont shows up, comes in between them, makes sure she turns her whole back to Nikki and tells Quincy, we need to be on the beach to do this Jack and Jill photo for my blog, or for whatever she was doing for her feed. And there's another girl standing there, and we find out her name is Taylor. And she was like, Nikki says, ooh, people are rude in the sunken place. And Lauren kind of looks, and her friends and start to laugh. And Lauren's like, well, I don't think that's funny. And everybody's like, well, it is funny because you were being rude. Quincy tells her that she's being rude. Lauren doesn't apologize. Lauren doesn't do anything. She's just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We need to take this photo. We need to take this photo. So Taylor, the other girl that was there, she was like, I see you, new blood. I see you, she invites her to a party and tells him to meet her at the dock at 9:00. Lauren is like, are we done? And she whisks Quincy and Taylor, she whisks them away from the bar. We flash back to not necessarily flashback, but this all happened in the scenes. It all happened simultaneously, but I'm just going to go back to the fact that Angela and Josephine go, and they're in line, and they meet with the DuPonts, and Angela turns on her charm and talks to them. She finds out Raymond DuPont says, your name sounds familiar. And she says, yes, I applied for some loan with the company. And so he was like, oh, yeah. You were talking about black hair care, and black hair care is popular right now. And Angela goes into her spiel about, black hair care is not a fad. It is, she goes into her whole spiel about that. And so she then says that she was very interested in making a donation to, I guess, the Gracities at this point. And she goes to give them a check, and they both look at her like, and they don't take the check. And they said the donation drop box is somewhere out in the front or something like that she needs to put her donation there. They just don't take the checks in hand from anybody. So, okay. It's interesting. I'm enjoying this so far. I really am enjoying it so far. So Angela comes back and she tells Aunt Piggy and Nikki what happened. Aunt Piggy, she's that auntie that's gonna say, girl, they acting like they can't take your check. And then she's like, and it's good money. And then she looked at her like, it is good money. That check is not going to bounce. And Angela says, no, the check is not going to bounce. She says, I just need to learn the ins and outs of how to do things around here. It's not a big deal. I just need to learn the ins and outs of how to do something. So she turns on this cobblestone walkway, and she ends up breaking her heel. So she's fumbling and turning over, and then here comes old fine behind Tyreek, honey. I will say that, they got a lot of chocolate eye candy up in here. You got Tyreek, you got you've got Lance Gross, you've got Morris Chestnut. So they're working the ages, because I think Lance Gross is in his 30s, late 30s. So he's going to pop for that crowd, and then they got Morris Chestnut to pop for us older gals. So I think they're doing pretty good with the eye candy there, and I think they're doing pretty good on the women's side with Yaya DaCosta and Nadine Ellis. I hadn't seen in the younger crowd. I don't know the actors of Lauren and Taylor, but they're good looking women as well. So she catches her heel and he helps her out. He takes her shoes off, and she's impressed by that. Aunt Piggy is impressed too, because Aunt Piggy said, ooh, ain't that chocolate melting summer, because honey, she wants to stop her some of old Tyrese up. So Aunt Piggy says she wanted to get the taste of that chocolate, and Angela's like, I'm not here to meet new friends. I'm here to get some work done and get things done. Angela, the next day it seems, or a couple of days later, Angela is doing an IG live with her Eve's Crowned IG group, talking about her hair care, talking about reminding them that she told them that she was going to be spending the summer in Oak Bluff. So then we get another flashback, and Eve is telling Angela about what her dreams was, how she owned a salon, and how she was planning on doing big things, and everything fell apart. And after she told her that, she started crying. And so Angela comforted her mother and told her how much she loved her, and they told each other how much they loved her. So apparently Eve had some mess to go on, and it was to the point where she gave up on her dream. So if we can glean from, this is the second flashback scene, if we can glean from these flashbacks, it's showing that Eve's, from the flashbacks, just from me gleaning from them, it seems that Angela's father had promised Eve some things, and she was banking on those things. She got some things started with the salon and everything like that, but something has happened in which derailed her dreams, and so she ended up coming back to Boston and not really fulfilling her life dreams and her life goals. So something happened. We don't know what it is, but we're gonna figure it out. So then we come to Louis Franklin Jr., aka Teddy, who is, excuse me y'all, I'm just trying to situate myself in the seat. We meet Louis Franklin Jr., who is Leah Franklin DuPont's father. He owns Franklin Holdings. Franklin Holdings has gotten its start through sanitation and has come into this multi-conglomerate They're getting ready to purchase the, what was it said, the Boston Tide, Boston Lions. And they're also building a stadium for them. So he's going in and he's talking to the board of directors. He's basically giving me a Papa Poach speech. So I kind of tuned out of that. It was too much for me at this point. I don't know. I just didn't want to hear no Papa Poach speech. So then Leah comes in. She comes in late. And then that's when he tells the board about the plans about the football team or basketball team or whatever type of team it is. Their plans to buy that team and the stadium. And she goes over and he gives her a hug, and she tells him in his ear, basically, I know what you're doing. I know you're doing dirty dealings. You need to take your hands off me. Well, Raymond, who is sitting there, he hears what she says, and he dismisses everybody in the room. And he leaves the room himself. And then Leah goes in to tell him that she knows about the bribery and the contracts and all this other stuff and all the dirty dealings that she is aware that he has done. And he goes back into a second Papa Pope speech about you got to do a little dirt to get where in life, and that he goes on his family legacy, that his grandfather had built something and then his father had built upon it and then he built upon it, and he's expecting her to make it much better, and then he's expecting his grandchildren to make it that much better. So he goes on in this little speech. Then he goes in this speech about the table and how it's uneven and how it's higher on his side because he wants everybody to look up to him. Just come on, he just a bit much. Honestly, I really wish they would have made his character where he wasn't so readable. I think a lot of these characters, I would have hoped that they would make him be so readable, but he's just too readable. He's a bit much. After the meeting, Raymond goes and he sees Quincy, and Quincy's playing ball. He comes up to Quincy and he's explaining to him how he wants him to follow in his footsteps and wants him to be a kingsman. And he tells him all about being kings and how he has had the fortune of seeing black men in power. Everybody else saw Obama, but he was able to see black men in power all of his life, and he wants Quincy to be within that group so that he can wield power. Apparently Quincy had something to tell him, but Raymond went into his speech about wanting him to follow in his footsteps, so we never did get to hear what Quincy wanted. So it flashes into a new scene, and it's at night because it's all over the place as far as if it's day, if it's night. But anyway, it's nighttime again, and Josephine, who is Angela's friend, are talking about the Grace-a-Tees meeting and how Angela wants Josephine to nominate her for the Grace-a-Tees meeting. Josephine tells her, this is Leah Franklin DuPont's first time being the president or the chairman of the Grace-a-Tees, so she has a lot to prove. And Josephine was feeling a little uneasy about nominating Angela at this first meeting. Probably maybe wait a year or wait until the next meeting or something like that. But Angela kept saying, this is be good business for Eve's Crown, and I want to make sure that we have, that Eve's Crown has a good fitting in the business world, and da 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 da. What's interesting, Angela explains to Josephine that she has taken out a lot of loans so that she could be there for this pop-up boutique in Oak Bluff, which is a little alarm. It was a little concerning to me because you're in debt, and the only big asset that you have is the building that your mother has given you. So I'm a little concerned about Angela and how her thirst to get in with the in crowd how that's going to wreak havoc on her finances. But that's just me. We just review. There was a knock at the door. Oh, we also learned that Nikki's father is named Nate. So I wonder if Nate's going to come up in the picture. Who is Nate? What kind of havoc Nikki's father? Because we don't know nothing about Nikki's father other than the name. So that's interesting to me. There's a knock at the door. And there's a package left. Angela says she has an invite to a party, and apparently it's a Tyreek party. So Angela says she's going to go, but there was a box attached to the invite. She opens the box and it's a pair of shoes. So Tyreek has purchased her a pair of shoes. Aunt Piggy tells her she needs to go to that party because, she needs to go to that party. And Josephine and Aunt Piggy starts telling her, you need to get that kitty cat worked out. You need to get them cobwebs pulled out. Just kidding with her. And that's when we learned that her child's father is named Nate. So it didn't fast forward, but the next scene goes into Nikki at the yacht party. Nikki goes to the yacht party. She's looking a little awkward because, she doesn't know anybody and she's just kind of walking around. And it looks like the yacht is in motion. It looks like the yacht's in motion, that they're out to sea. So they're on the yacht. It's in motion. We see Taylor sees Nikki. Taylor and Lauren Taylor sees Nikki. Lauren doesn't say anything. Taylor says, I'm really glad to see you. I'm glad that you came. And she gives her a hug. While she's giving her a hug, she drops her phone into Nikki's purse. Where do they do that? What is going on? Why would she do that? So, she does that. She does that real quick. And I guess to divert attention from that, she calls over Q. Q is Quincy, who is Lauren's brother. She calls him over there and she tells Nikki that, hey, I'm trying to get you to meet some people and Quincy likes you. So, hey, why not talk to Quincy? So her and Quincy get together. They hit it off. They're dancing, having a good time. And then it pans a little later on. You see Taylor standing at this picture of the DuPonts. And it's Lauren, Quincy, Leia, and Raymond. She writes on there with lipstick, lies. And she just puts it on there. Okay. Now this is the second time Taylor is acting funny. First she puts her phone in Nikki's purse. Then she writes lies on this picture. So there's something going on. We don't really know, but something is going on. Hoocha. So it pans away from this little from the yacht party to Tyreek's party. So Tyreek's party is jumping. He's got this party looks good. It looks like a little casual little situation. And but they're all dressed really nice. It's a casual situation, but they're all dressed really nice. So Tyreek is over there playing cards with the fellas, and Angela walks up. She's escorted to him, and he looks at her, and then he looks down at her shoes, and then he realizes she ain't wearing the right shoes. And them little shoes she had on looked a little busted, but I digress. And she tells him, I can buy my own shoes. I could buy my own shoes. I don't need you to buy my shoes. And he's like, well, can I buy you a drink? And so he buys her a drink and they go off and they start talking. So then it goes back to the yacht party and Nikki comes across the photo with the that has the lies written across it because, Taylor has defaced it. While she's looking at the picture, she's kind of like, well, dang, what's going on? You start hearing Lauren scream, Taylor, 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 Taylor. So Nikki runs up to Lauren while she's screaming, Taylor, Taylor. And she asked her, what's going on? So Lauren starts confessing. Taylor and I were fighting and she was drunk. And the next thing you know, and then she goes back over the thing and starts hollering, Taylor, Taylor. So Nikki starts screaming too, somebody help, somebody help. So they both scream and help. Flashes back to Angela and Tyreek. Angela, they're just talking, and Tyreek spits the game to her about, hey, this is who I know what it is where you are. I had to work my way up. My father helped me out working my way up. I'm just trying to help you make it through into the grace because I know that you're trying to climb this ladder. I'm trying to teach you and spit you some game. Like I said, he tells her history. They get to kissing. While they're kissing, Nikki calls her mama. Angela goes out to the marina. She sees Nikki, but Leah and Raymond DuPont see Lauren and Quincy, and they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? We don't know. Taylor is still alive, so Taylor's at the hospital, so they obviously fished her out of the water. So the police come to Mr. DuPont and say, "Hey, Nikki Vaughn says that Lauren and Taylor were arguing, and he wants to talk with Lauren about what's going on." Lauren comes up. She is a liar. She's a drunk. She's threatening me. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm looking like, well, darn, she is really throwing it on thick. Let me look. Yeah, she's really throwing it up here. She's a drunk. Smell her breath. And Angela and Leah have just decided that, hey, none of our girls is going nowhere until we gonna go take our children home. We're not gonna be questioned today. So when they get home, Angela is just like laying it into Nikki. And when she gets home, she tells Aunt Picky, she's over there, she's drunk, a girl got hurt, this. And, Aunt Nikki was like, I had one drink. And so Angela's like, you realize that I had to beg those people to get you on a program so that you didn't have to go to jail. I'm not the right skin color. I'm not the right socioeconomic class to be able to help you out as far as you think I can. She says, what if the police would have taken you in? They would have arrested you. You being drunk is an arrestable offense. If your probation officer with the diversion program finds out that you've been drinking, they could lock you up. She kept going and she's like, were you smoking weed? Then Nikki's upset because bless Nikki's heart, she's just walking into some she's walking into some fuckery is what she's walking into, and she doesn't understand that she's walking into all of this. And so her mother is getting on to her about that. They go back and forth, and then all of that back and forth, Angela grounds Nikki up where at the Gracities meeting, Olivia DuPont passes the reins to Leah. Leah accepts. They have a moment of silence for Taylor Woods, whose family is part of this society. Then it flashes over to the Kingsman ceremony. They have a little bit of more pomp and circumstance over there. It flashes back to the Gracities meeting. Josephine nominates Angela. Angela tells everybody about herself, but she's lying. She's lying to the people. We have the Leah assigns duties for the mother-daughter fashion show. That's the first big event of the season. She talks about who's going to do the hair. Angela said, oh, that's my bag, I'm going to do it. She's like, no, you're going to do the snacks, and some other woman's going to do the hair. And, Angela feels a little slighted about that. Nikki's at home, just piddling around home. She walks back towards her bed, and she falls over her purse, and then Taylor's phone falls out of the purse. She goes to the phone. It opens. She sees a video of Taylor and Lauren on the bed together. Taylor is saying, everyone thinks I'm the bad influence, but, they don't know about you. And then Lauren says, well, I'm going to tell everybody. And then they got to kissing and making out. Olivia DuPont chastises Leah for being late for some event, gives her this big old history lesson, and then gives her an envelope and tells her that the Angela Vaughn lady was lying, and that her family has, she lied about her family, summering here that her family has a shady past, and she wants her to get rid of her. So it just kind of goes on back and forth. We get to the fashion show. The fashion show goes off with a hitch. The person who was supposed to do the hair, the stylist flaked. So Angela does the hair. It's a showstopper. It's a great event. She saves the event. After the event, Nikki runs up into, Lauren comes off the stage. She sees Nikki. She's having some things, flashbacks or whatever, and she starts crying. Nikki tries to console her. Nikki's confusing me. I don't know exactly, because I don't know why you run around touching on people, trying to hug on people or whatever. And she's trying to explain to her, I know who you are. The only person that knew me was my grandmother and all this other stuff. So Lauren was like, what are you talking about? Nikki is so dumb. She is naive. Because the one piece of evidence that she has to hold over Lauren, she gives it, she shows it to her, and then Lauren finesses it off of her, and then she tells her mother that Nikki's harassing her. So she already knows that Lauren has it in for Nikki, because Nikki knows there's something wrong. So Leah comes in and she calls herself trying to say something to Nikki. Angela steps in, and then that's when Leah goes off on Angela. She embarrasses her. She tells her she knows that her mother was a maid. So Angela gets into her little stuff. I know my mama was a maid, but that don't mean that y'all are better than me. Blah 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 blah. And then Leah throws the bombshell that Angela's mother Eve was arrested for distribution of drugs out of her shop back in the 80s. We get to another scene where Leah dethrones her father as CEO. Father says, okay, fine, you keep you won this battle, but that doesn't mean that you've won the war. Leah tells her husband that, she's going to be the new CEO. Angela comes to the DuPont's residence to pick up the wig that she made for Leah for the fashion show, and they just kind of go back and forth. Leah was like, well, she didn't really apologize, but she said that, she's just not in the business of tearing down black women, and she's not in the business of tearing down black women. But let me back up, because what happened even before that scene is that Josephine, we find out that is a DA child. Anyway, she brings over files about the case of Eve, and then there's a videotape. In that videotape, we see Lewis Franklin Jr., aka Teddy, coming in while Eve is being interrogated, and she's like, you need to tell them that I'm not that I wasn't moving drugs in my shop. You need to tell them I wasn't moving drugs in my shop. He cuts the feed. I don't know how he has the power to cut that feed, but he did. And then I think Angela sees his watch, and then she realizes Teddy Franklin is my father. He is my father. And so she has another flashback where she sees him getting into the car, but I think she sees a little girl in the car, and the little girl is in the car, and she's like, Daddy, who was that? Who was that little girl? And he was like, that's nobody that you need to know. So it basically ends that way. I guess we're gonna figure out who was really dealing the drugs, what all dealings Teddy was getting into, what happens when Leah and Angela find out that they're siblings. How does this affect the DuPonts? I'm curious as to if Olivia DuPont, did she have some kind of issue with Angela's mother Eve, or was just the fact that she was just a maid and she was arrested for dealing drugs? So I'm curious to see what's happened, what's going on. Like I said, this was the first show, so I'm gonna watch the second show to see what's going on. And if you like what you hear, give me a like, comment below what you thought about the first episode of this series, and I'll see y'all in the next review. Bye.